All right, let's do this. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the second MU English Creative Writing CAP reading for undergraduate creative writers. We had arranged this was back in the before time, we had arranged this to at first to happen upstairs at the Heidelberg. Instead, we are having it here on Zoom. Zoom, I feel like, has kind of an image problem. The associations for Zoom aren't wonderful. It's never going to remind anyone of fun times. However, we are going to have fun tonight. On our program, 5 senior majors. They are all great. We're going to get right to it. You may want to mute yourselves or not. We've been kind of not muting ourselves in order to, like, give sonic type response. There's also silent response. If you see, most of you guys will have the reactions thing in the bottom frame. You can do like this or this. You can't raise the roof, so you just have to do that like on your own if you want to raise the roof. Anyway, we're going to get, as I say, right to it. Our first reader is Michaela Flores. Michaela's poems are so good. That's what I'd say before thinking to say, before thinking. That's what I'd say as just a receiver, a person alive to delight. She transcribes moods, the human push and pull into light and color and sound. It's good because it's good, alive because it is that, alive. Leaving the ride of a poem of Michaela's, it's like, I gotta go get back in line.
All right, thank you, Scott. So I have 3 poems I'm gonna read today. And my first poem is called Anamnesis, and it's kind of my interpretation of a collective eulogy. Anamnesis. I'm greeted by children praising the air, gray as steel, with eyes that say, you know me, please be kind. I wonder how it feels to be memorialized in the hot space where bugs fight to crawl. I wonder if that is why their hands are always open. Everything is the same color here, a hot yellow that fades into a smoked brown, into a milky, hazy white, shrouding them in a dark clap of sun. I only look away when my skin raisins and sinks into itself. I'm glad it wants to stay. The snake I stand on, the top of the world, where mountains do not touch the sky, but are a part of it. In the distance, I see marching cars, breathing hot air, scouring like ants for food, singing like a cluster of horns, brassy staccatos and long mechanical whines. I wonder if they can see me up here, as high as a birthday girl squill and just as bright. The ground dimples beneath my feet like something so soft is below. My hands prod the stony hearth. They too are open. I push hard until I hear something snap. This next poem was inspired by Goblin Market by Christina Rossetti, and it's called Crave. Crave. When she smiled at me, every boy I knew became a bag of bad beauty, tightened with teeth until airtight, silent except for songs trumpeting inside with lockjawed sincerity, indignant with praise, and sputtering cream-sweet sayings about my hair last Tuesday or a bird that looks like me. Inside, we danced a plastic parade. When she cut her hair last summer, every boy I knew became a balloon. Around memory, like a moon face, I let say hi to heaven. It left me with empty-handed longing, like an eight-legged whore who hides in the crease and corner of every home she makes lonely. Who needs things to hold, anyway? Who needs pretty spit sitting at the lips, waiting to pink itself a pool in someone else's space? When she said she'd stay, every boy became a big, bloody bruise beneath me naked, lewd like candy crushed and colored for something worth sucking, sticky like sadness, sweet like sadness, sour like sadness. After all, the heart is nothing but a berry stomped bright. When we were in school, I used to eat behind my hands, so she could only see the bite in my wide eyes. What was I hiding except for hunger? She made me feel like a full day. Whenever I think about it, my cheeks sit like proud apples, stuffed inside a heavy hog who waits to be harassed by hungry hands. A happy feast of fullness. Who knew Black girls could blush? Who knew it would stain itself purple? When she bit her tongue bloody, every boy became a baby, a gummy, garbled mess of something soft, hair tinseled at the root, too tender to tear. No tension, no teeth, and barely any brains. I wanted a tongue to taste too. I pouted, pulling a pierced ear. I liked the way tying things tickled. When she wanted more, every boy became every boy, all acrid bodies, breakish and brooding to swive. They thought it'd be better, iodized, like a shock, salt. Like the ichor inside me was something soothing. It reminded me that I can never be that brave. And when I couldn't bear it, they thought it'd be better bleeding. I remember telling myself, this is just the way boys bite. And this last poem is called Airless. Today the wind glows in our hands. An unnatural globe of it circles over lonely and curls inside itself like it fears the day. When the sun slides sleepily over the cold sky, the sudden catch of hot air balloons your face. This is a happy heat, and I reach for it until I ache. This is spring. The soft blush of flowers hold themselves higher here, and the grass grows over itself, bleeding out the brown. We just want the bugs back. You're not cold anymore, but I cover you anyway. We swim when it's warm enough, we wait when it's not. We walk like our hands haven't met yet, but only because they have always been this close. We are so tired, but your eyes blink it back, so I let mine burn. It reminds me of the time a ladybug crowned your brow like a scab, rolled over your head and into your ear, like it also couldn't stand me crying. And that is all I have.
Give you the clap icon too. Our next reader is Ian Kweon. Ian's fiction, a clear and pleasing maze, and at first I'm content as I look upon it to just gaze, admire the draftsmanship. Stairs leading walkers to walls, which again become floors from a different perspective. But then I'm drawn in, and I see once closer what he has arranged, the markers he's left for us. They're ingenious. I follow them all the way through, but still have no exact idea of what has just happened to me. Okay, that was so.
All right, thank you, Scott. So this piece is called Tenant. It's a rather short piece, but this was actually the first piece that I wrote for this CAP reading. And over time, I wrote a few other pieces, but this first one actually ended up being the most apropos and the one that fit this one the most. So I guess here's to the times when the first draft is actually the best. So Tenant. by Kweon. Sally and I had been renting out the other side of our duplex for the past few years. After the previous tenants, Dave and Lucy, moved away to California because the weather here just wasn't right for them, the other side of the duplex remained empty for a month or so before we got an inquiry from a woman named Beth. Beth, the new tenant, seemed nice enough. She lived alone and didn't have any children, but she did have two chihuahuas, both named Dio. Sally and I suffered from insomnia, and we were worried about a new tenant making too much noise. Beth told us not to worry, though, that she was a quiet tenant, but both her chihuahuas barked like baby birds who were abandoned by their mama bird, and starving and crying for someone who wasn't going to come, and crying so loud that they attracted predators rather than caretakers. Sally and I took the hit. We needed the extra income. Besides the barking, another month passed without much note. Beth, the new tenant, spent most of her time on her porch, seeming to do nothing in particular except humming to herself as she slowly swung back and forth in her chair. Each day, Beth would wave to Sally and me as we left to go to work, then wave to us when we came back. I'm not sure Sally or I ever saw her go inside. One morning, I felt myself being shaken awake. John, there was some strange noise. I think something's bad happened next door. We tried knocking on the door of the other side of the duplex. Then we tried calling her. Even from outside, we could hear her phone ring and ring and ring and keep ringing. Eventually, we decided that something was wrong, and we decided to let ourselves in. The first thing we saw was the blood. It trailed from the living room to the kitchen in a wide, straight line, like it had been painted with a long and trailing brush. Then we noticed the body. It was the new tenant, Beth. Sally clung to my arm as we stood in the doorway. Oh my God, John, what the fuck happened? Beth had been ripped to death, pieces of her eaten by her own starving dogs. In the nights following the visits from police, EMTs, and animal control, both Sally's insomnia and my own seemed to get worse the longer we stayed in that half-empty place. Even though Beth's chihuahuas, both named Dio, had been taken away to be put down, the house seemed louder than usual somehow. As we lay awake in bed at night, floorboards creaked throughout the house when neither of us moved. Long, windy branches tapped rhythmic codes on our windows even though we had cut down all of our trees years ago. And just as we felt ourselves finally drifting off into the soft and blissful peace of sleep, we swore that we could hear the faint, nearing sound of barking dogs and crying baby birds. After a week, Sally and I moved away to California too.